So, welcome, Dara, back. I'm so happy to have you here and see you there. Dara first attended a parent cafe in 2008 and has been involved with the Strengthening Families movement ever since. Dara consults with organizations and systems that wish to authentically engage families and communities and has worked with several project launch grantees across the country, assisting with implementation of the Café approach and accompanying professional development, training, and technical assistance to enhance engagement and parent-provider relationships. Before consulting in the family strengthening arena, Dara was a sales and marketing professional in the human resources and pharmaceutical industries. She holds a Bachelor of Science degree in education and social policy with a concentration in human development from Northwestern University in Evanston, Illinois. Yay, Dara, thank you so much for being here and welcome, and I'll let you take it away.
Yay, thank you for all of what you do, Beth. And also thank you all for returning today. So that means I did a good job last time because you get to choose what how and what you want to be engaged in. So thank you for coming back. Can everybody see my PowerPoint? Good, all right. That's a win. You guys know that, right? Okay, actually the one thing though, I don't know if I forgot to press those two things at the bottom. Okay, they're there. All right. All right, can you see them again? Okay, good. So we're gonna continue the conversation. I really want this to be a conversation that we continue from last week. Are weeks going by slow or fast to you guys? Yeah, they're going kind of fast. So I was like, wow, that was just last week. Just a few Zoom, if we're not familiar with Zoom, let's our setup with Zoom. How many, if you're on camera, just raise your hand if you're good on Zoom. You kind of know what you're doing by now. Okay, so then I'm gonna keep going. Please leave yourself muted until you talk, just to, eliminate background noise. Share your reactions if you like to. Go ahead and chat with each other. Remember, if the chat is saved, we can also see private chats. Just a little tidbit of information. Raising your hand if we get into discussion and people start talking over each other, you can raise your hand physically or use the raise your hand tool. And just like Beth asked for us to be here now, I'm going to ask that we try to be present, remove as many distractions as we can, grab something to drink, get something to write with. Hopefully all of you had a chance to review the Google Doc or template that Leah was able to put up. I think she has already put that in the chat.
Yep, it's in the chat right now.
Awesome. So if you did not get a chance to look at that, please open that, and we're going to be really spending the majority of the meeting with you working with each other around your plan and around your outreach plan. So grab something that supports you. It could be that coffee or tea or sandwich or a bag of chips. No judgment over here. And then we're going to start. So I don't know what happened before you got here. A lot of us are working from home with kids, with noise, with neighbors, and it's not our usual, right? But it has become. So I'm going to provide a little bit of time for us to get a little bit grounded so we can be present. So I'm going to show this video. It's about the butterfly technique. It's a bilateral technique that really helps ground ourselves and try to remove distractions and be present for the rest of the work today. So I'm going to start that now.
So we're going to finish off tonight with just a bit of a grounding technique. This is called the butterfly hug. You can do it with crossing your thumbs and hands in front of you and alternating here. If it's more comfortable to just tap on the shoulders, you're welcome to do that. And if that's not quite comfortable, feel free to go ahead and put your hands on your knees or on your legs and you can tap gently to yourself there. This is a wonderful, wonderful grounding technique because you can take this anywhere. And so whether it be at the office to help just bring down that intensity of emotion for a moment, whether it be at home, whether it be before bed, and this is really, really beneficial and whenever you're needing to get that emotion down a bit. So for those who'd like, you're welcome to join me. If it's more comfortable just to watch me, you're welcome to. You can also close your eyes, and so whatever's going to be best and most comfortable for you. So let's go and get started. And let's go and get started by just finding where it's most comfortable for us. Just kind of experiment. Does this feel good here? Does this feel good here, or on your knees? So take a moment to find that. When you find that place, let's go and get started with just a deep breath in. So taking a deep breath in, when you reach the top, hold for just a moment, and then exhaling. Just let it come out, just natural as can be. And then just slowly start tapping. Just alternating sides, alternating the taps, knowing that whatever you choose is A-okay. If you'd like, you're also welcome to add a positive affirmation to this. It may be I am loved. It could be I can do this. It may be I am in a secure and safe place. Whatever seems to fit for what your need is right now. Feel free to just add that in and just repeat it to yourself in your head. And just remembering to keep tapping for as long as it's comfortable. If you need to go a little harder, you're welcome to. If it needs to be gentle. Again, just experimenting and see what fits for you right now. And you're welcome to do that. And go as short or as long as till you feel just a little bit calmer or until you feel that that's good enough for today. So again, just breathing in and out and just tapping. Tapping for as long as you'd like. And then, whenever you're ready, when you've hit that spot that feels A-okay or good enough, go ahead and just pause there for a moment. Just letting your hands rest, letting your body rest. And if you'd like, feel free to take one more deep breath in, holding for just a moment. And then when you're ready, exhaling, just letting the air flow out all natural and just whatever comes. That's a butterfly hug. Thanks, everyone.
So I hope you feel a little more grounded, a little more calm. This is good for when we get triggered. And getting triggered is getting easier. Have you noticed how people are just ready to go off on each other right now? So we need some more tools, right? And we need to be able to work with our families around tools. So I have a quick check-in that you can do on your chat. If you could have an unlimited supply of something besides money for the rest of your life, what would it be and why? So go in the chat, tell me what your unlimited supply that you would want would be. And while you do this, I'm going to just make a couple of announcements around what we're going to do today. There's a lot of people on the call who are not sharing their video. There's a lot of people on the call too. I just want to make sure, because this is going to be a working call where we're going to work with each other and be in the breakout spaces to work on our outreach plan. And the working of that plan is based on the template that Leah sent out. So if you're not able to fully participate in that way, please let us know. So then we will not put you into a breakout space, because sometimes people go into breakout spaces and no one is there. Like, it's just a name, but nobody's home. So if you do not plan to be actively engaged in this working meeting where we're trying to assist each other with coming up with plans to be able to do outreach more effectively during the coronavirus, please let us know so we will not put you into a breakout space. Okay. So now I'm going to continue. Thank you for your answers. Someone said love trips to Disneyland. Travel, yeah, I like that. I want to go a lot of places. Um, Vacations to Hawaii, love. Somebody said food, time with family, happiness, time with friends, peace. Ooh, somebody said chiropractic visits. I could go for that. Acupuncture and massages too. Somebody put massages in health. Healthy and energetic, water, vacations. I love this. This is all stuff we're going to do after coronavirus is over, right?
Some great ideas.
Yes, remember, we're saving the chat. I'm going to keep going. So last week we kind of ended with, or we began and ended with, to do outreach, you must reach out. And so today we're going to be talking about how we're reaching out, how we plan to reach out in the future, and then some kind of like getting together and getting some strategies on how we can do that from each other. So I might have gone over this last week, but just some little quick tidbits about what we can be doing. If you're promoting your services right now, the things that need to be on your flyers and in your communication is, who are you? Have your services been impacted by COVID-19? If they have, how have they been impacted? Are your services different? Supportive statements. Have your hours changed? Do people need to make an appointment now? They can't walk in. All of the safety issues that go along with COVID-19, people need to be aware of in terms of our service provision right now, and how are we making people aware of. Do you need donations? The people are looking for, a lot of people are spending time at home, so they're trying to get their house more straight. So a lot of people are donating things, and I'm going to keep going. I'm going to go here. So if you know people are trying to donate things, think about using your agency if it's open, or if you have open days, designating your agency as a drop-off zone for resources that can be shared with the community. So if you're providing essential items at your agency and organization, you can be promoting that while you have your drop-off event. How are you promoting that? If you are partnering with someone else who might be having a drop-off event, is it possible to partner with agencies around town who are collecting resources from the community? Are you guys doing, are the schools doing like the lunch distribution? Might it be possible to partner with the school district on a day or something like that to be there around information, or give, when they distribute the lunch, be able to distribute additional information at that lunch drop off? So kind of partnering with the community-based organizations who are still in contact, in personal contact with parents and families is a good idea, especially schools, because we know schools are doing those lunches, or are in our district, we are. I'm going to go back up. Are you making the calls you need to make? Who are the people that we need to be calling? Have we called our community partners, the leaders, parents and caregivers? Are we spending time on the phone? Are we talking to school administrators, especially the family engagement folks in schools that we could be partnering with to get our information out? This is going to require a lot of time spent on the phone. Yesterday, I had a gathering, a Zoom gathering. Remember last time we had 50 something people register? We had about 24 or 5 people come on. This last one for yesterday, we have 42 people registered. All together with the 2 facilitators and me, we had 19 people on. That's about the half, right? So knowing what's your goal number, and then making the calls that need to be made and the contacts that need to be made to get to that half number. So if you want 50 people, that's a lot right now. You got to get 100 people at least to sign up. And so here's the places that are still open. Can we make calls to any of these places, and kind of like, what can we do? And we're going to talk about that together. So all of these places are still open and they aren't going anywhere. Is it possible that we can set up a social distancing not event, or a way to give information to parents and caregivers. And we're going to get into what are we saying again. That was kind of the main point of today's workshop. How many of us are using the internet and social media to get our message out? Okay, how are we doing it? We're going to talk about that in the break room, but just a little bit of tips. Do you have a COVID-19 specific page that's all about how you're responding to our pandemic? So that might be good. Using bold colors and graphics, easy to read fonts, no cursive. I think, you know, people under, I'm going to go out on a limb here. People under 30 may not be able to read cursive. I'm just saying. They're not even teaching it anymore. I had my 21-year-old had to sign his passport completely illegible. Completely illegible. And I was like, oh my God, you know how to sign? What? Yeah. So please don't use any cursive looking fonts, even if they're beautiful. Post often, use local hashtags and tag other agencies, pay for advertising if you have any kind of budget, and then challenges. Challenge people to tag other people. How many people can tag their friends, tag other organizations. A question challenge. The first 10 people to respond to this question about how you're keeping strong, you're going to get something if we have budgets for these things, right? And I think sometimes we do, and we can use that to promote our services right now. So I just put the major ones over here. There's also, you know, YouTube. There's other things that we can use. And Facebook now has groups where you can do groups inside of Facebook. I've never done it, but I heard it's pretty good. And then our virtual gatherings. I talked about this last time, the Jackpot games. Anybody ever heard of Kahoot? Kids love Kahoot, but who doesn't love like a fun game show type game? I think adults would like to, I played Kahoot, so it was fun to play. And then remember I mentioned about having movie nights with this Netflix add-on, so you can do Netflix party. The other add-on is called Watch Netflix Together. And then what happens is you're watching the movie and you know how, like, I don't know if you guys do this, but sometimes we talk to the movie. Like, oh my God, I can't believe you up, that whole thing. On Netflix party, you can be typing that kind of stuff up. And there's other people typing it up too. Like, oh my God, that was the most dumbest decision. Why would you go in the basement? That kind of stuff. So that, and I think having fun right now, and then sliding in your services at the beginning or at the end. We got to find some kind of way to get people there and then do what we can while they are there. So these are all, this is not an exhaustive list. These are just a few that I know about, but you know how the internet is, okay? So, but these are good ones to start. There's also, if anybody ever heard of Mentimeter, and then Poll Everywhere, where you can make all these beautiful word clouds and all this kind of stuff. Also, if you're doing any kind of presentations, you can use Google Slides. There are interactive Google Slides. A lot of teachers are using these now, where you can construct whole things in real time while people are just kind of like the whiteboard, while people are contributing to what you're doing, and everyone sees it in real time. That requires a little bit of technological savvy, but I think as we continue, parents and caregivers will become more technological savvy. So any questions about any of this? Has anyone used Jackbox games, Kahoot, or this Netflix party before? Has anyone used any of those? Anna, tell me about your experience. Then Andrea, and then Sonia, did you have your hand up? Yeah, let's hear about how these things have gone for you.
Yeah, I use Netflix Party to watch different like movies with my friends now that we're not able to see each other. You know, with my boyfriend, so we're able just to, and it's fun. it's fun. We choose a movie, and then like you mentioned, you're just like, oh my god, I can't believe that happened, or oh, this is so funny. Like this movie is really funny. So it's really it's cool, and it's a way to get together now that we're not able to.
Thank you, Andrea.
Likewise, we had some movie nights. So we actually hosted a series, like 4, I think, in a row, the month of May. And we used Netflix Party. And then we had some issues at some point. So we had to use some different things, but it was really effective. People did engage in communication. And we used it for our clients. Sorry, we do it for our families, but we actually specifically carved out events using the Netflix Party option.
Nice, thank you. Sonia.
We've done it to help with staff morale, where we celebrate birthdays, and we each put a background, we choose a different background to celebrate birthday, and then play a Kahoot game trying to know, like, who knows the staff person better. So it's kind of like a little trivia. A lot of fun, and just really an opportunity to engage and lighten things up a little.
Thank you. And Abdi, I think you had your hand up.
Yeah, I've used Kahoot for our staff meetings, and I'm very, very competitive. And I was trying to cheat, but it was lots of fun. I definitely recommend using Kahoot.
Can you, you're trailing off. We can't hear you that well. So say the last part again.
Oh, I said I've used Kahoots for a staff meeting, and I'm very, very competitive, and just brought out a lot of energy out of me, and everyone was very well engaged, and it was fun.
Yeah.
Definitely recommend using it.
And if you're really teaching or training or having a workshop, thank you all of you for sharing your experiences. You can use something like Kahoot to do like a pre-survey, right? Because like, what happens when you tell people, oh, I have a pre-survey? It's like, really? Oh, I don't want to do that. Or even at the end, this end survey is like, oh, right? So you can kind of use these kind of tools to make it a little more fun. We know we have to do it, and yes, I'll send you the link for the butterfly hug. These are things we have to do. How do we make these things just a little bit more fun, and who doesn't need a little more fun? And part of our intention should be to provide a little fun for our families, especially right now. Any questions or anything else anyone want to add? All right, so once we get our families to the gathering, we want them to come back another time. Well, we don't want a one and done situation, do we? We want our families and our caregivers, parents, community members to be engaged before they come, right? So we're building this relationship, and then they get there and they say, okay, I'm going to take a chance because your message was so compelling. You explained to me what's in it for me to attend your event. You might have even had some incentives, and I had fun. And you promised I'm going to have fun. Okay, I'm going to come to your event. So then how do we construct the event? How do we design the event? So some things to think about are on the screen. I'm not going to read all these questions. I want you to just kind of look at them while I talk. These are the 7 principles of adult learning. And we always, whenever we have adults around in our space, in a gathering, in a workshop, we should always be thinking about how adults need to be engaged and how they need to be respected, right? And so each one of these little squares corresponds to one or more of the questions that are on the right-hand side. So and then the other thing is style, like who's talking during the engagement, during the gathering, during the workshop? Is it just the presenter and I'm just a passive participant? Or are you creating an environment where I can be an active participant? So when you're designing, you're creating your workshops, which is kind of like a whole nother workshop. I just kind of put it in here because once you get them in, we have to be aware of how we're engaging once they're with you, so they'll come back. Because then all of that outreach effort, once they get there and it's not fun, and if it's not engaging and it's not relevant, then they're going to be like, well, I went to that and it was boring. Or I went to that and it wasn't what they said it was going to be. Or I went to that and I didn't even get a chance. I had my hand up the whole time and nobody ever called on me. Or I went to that and I couldn't understand what they were saying. Or I went to that and it just wasn't relevant. It wasn't practical for my life. These are all of the things that play into the what's in it for me. So if I go to something and you're proposing that my life is going to be better after I attend your thing, I'm going to assess if my life is better in a micro and a macro way. So did I learn a little tool, a little tidbit? Do I walk out of here feeling a little bit better than I did before I walked in? That is how people are evaluating our events, our gatherings, our workshops, our time together, especially now. How many Zooms y'all been on? Put in the chat today. Just today, how many Zooms have you been on? Let me see the numbers. This is my second. Oh my God, somebody's already been on 4 Zooms. And it's only 1:30, right? So this is our job. A lot of the parents, they might be having to be on Zoom for work too. Then we're asking them to get on another Zoom. We better make sure our design, somebody said 4, another 4, somebody said 2 more to go. That's a lot. Okay, so what are we doing to make our time on Zoom a little different? Somebody said too much, yes. So these slides will be available after our time together, so you can be answering these questions when you put your workshops and gatherings together. So I'm just gonna play this. A lot of you may have seen it before, but even if you have seen it before, it's just got some good nuggets. So I'm just gonna play it now.
Alicia asks is, how do I know why I'm here? Because when you know your why, your what becomes more clear and more impactful. If you know, like for instance, people know that I do comedy, but that's what I do. My why is to inspire people to walk in purpose. So I can do comedy, I can write books, I can be in a movie, because all of it is motivated by my why. In fact, I have a new web series out called Michael Jr. Break Time. We probably just did the 6th episode. It's on YouTube. So every single Wednesday at 3 o'clock, we drop a new episode on YouTube of Michael Jr. Break Time. What it is it's me. I travel around the country and I do stand-up comedy, in case you didn't know. And in the middle of my comedy set sometime, I'll stop and just talk to my audience. And we've been filming this, and it's, you know, it's pretty cool. So we're in Winston-Salem. I'm gonna show you a clip from Winston-Salem. And I'm just talking to this guy in the audience, and he tells me that he's a musical instructor at a school. So I was like, all right, you're a musical instructor, you know, can you sing? Let me hear you sing a song. So this is what happened at the last episode of Michael Jr.'s Break Time. Check it. So you're a musical director. Cool.
Yes, sir.
All right, so let me get a couple bars of like Amazing Grace. Can you do the first part of that? Go ahead.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me.
Wow. That bro could sing, you know what I'm saying? All right. Now, what you give me the version is if your uncle just got out of jail, you got shot in the back when you was a kid. I'm just saying, let me see the hood version real quick, if you know which version I'm talking about. Just see if that exists. Let me see what you got.
Amazing grace, how that I see.
Okay, here's what I want you to catch. The first time I asked him to sing, he knew what he was doing. The second time, he knew why he was doing it. When you know your why, your what becomes more impactful because you're walking towards or in your purpose.
Okay. Oh, all right. So any comments on that?
Chills, chills.
Chills, yes. Right. And there was no stopping him. Once he got into that mode, he was like, I don't care what's happening around me. I'm going to finish this bar.
No, and thanks for making it plain. Like that was a very a good way to make it simple and tangible. So thanks for sharing that.
Oh, you're welcome. I'll send the link for that too.
Cool. Thank you.
And so how can you see this impacting outreach or in just our work in general?
You have to know your audience. That's what I always say. You just can't think that you're going to have the same presentation wherever you go. One shoe doesn't fit all.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Why else?
Dara, one of the things I think about is that self-motivation, that drive, right? Regardless of all the obstacles and challenges, I'm driven to do X. Yeah.
Right. And he talks about at the end, because you're walking in your purpose. Go ahead, Andrea.
I was just going to say, once you know, I mean, and I hate to sound super eloquent, but once you know why you're doing it, even in creating the marketing materials, like once you know, besides like the deliverables listed in the grant, once you can connect to why you're doing it, even just the outcomes of the delivery will be a lot more poignant and succinct. I don't know. I don't know if that makes sense.
It does make sense. The heart, right? So a lot of times we want to live in our head around this work. How can I get people? And I got to do this. And yes, there's things that we have to do, but where is the heart in the message? How are we connecting? And it's back to these building of relationships. And if we're connected to our purpose on why we're doing what we're doing, then we are more passionate about what we do. And people look at you like, well, I'm going to come. I guess it's going to be good because look at him, right? He is like happy about what his situation is. Look at her. And if we are unapologetic about what we're offering, because a lot of times I see us, me included, chasing people. Are we chasing people sometimes? Like, come, you know, right? And what's the flip side of that? We have what we do is amazing. Our events are amazing, let me tell you. And then going in, instead of being like, well, you should try it. Come on by. Just the energy of how we're putting out what we do and how we do it. Did anyone else want to comment on the video or anything that we've said so far? Anything that we talked about? Because we are going to get ready to go into our breakout space. And I have some questions for us. So we're going to be kind of small. I think we should do like 3 to 4 people per room. Several of us will not be able to participate, but in this first breakout room is going to be, who are you trying to reach and why? And what is your, we'll get to the other part later. I'm trying to go in really little kind of smaller steps. So I want you to be able to very succinctly tell your roommates in your breakout rooms, who are you trying to reach and why you're trying to reach them. So for this breakout, I think if we're going to be small, 3 to 4, we're going to do a 5-minute breakout room. All right. So get with your folks.
And the questions are in the chat.
Yep. So see you in 5 minutes. Good. When people when you close the room and people don't immediately come back, you're like, okay, folks are talking. Okay, good, good. All right. So just asking Andrea if everyone in your groups got a chance to answer these 2 questions. No. Okay.
Oh.
Oh, no.
Breakout was too short.
All right. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go to the next set of questions. And then we'll do a longer kind of breakout or harvest after the second piece. So we're going to stay in the same groups. And let me go to the next. Am I sharing? Can y'all see my screen?
We can see the video, the butterfly. There you are. Now we see the.
So here's what I first asked you to talk about. Here's the next thing I'm going to ask you guys to talk about right here. So these 2 slides actually go together. So what I'm going to have you do when we break out now, again, you're going to be with the same people. For those of you who did not get a chance to answer those initial questions, I want you to go first. We're going to give you like 10 minutes. No, let's up it. 12 minutes in this breakout session. Okay, so the questions for this second breakout are these. And they should be in the chat.
Yeah, is it they're the one size doesn't fit all? So what is your message?
Yes.
What's in it for them from their perspective? How do you know you're correct? Who have you talked to? What's so great about what you're doing? Articulate it, make it compelling. Okay.
Yes. So none of these questions should be like a brand new question. We went over these last week. They're in the template that was emailed to you. And so what I want you to do is really kind of try to answer these questions if you haven't already. If you have spent a little bit of time thinking about them, go first and allow people who haven't got a chance to think as much to go last. But I really want this to be a time for you to get help as well from your roommates about how did that sound. If it doesn't sound like, I'm gonna just be like my kids, that was lame. Now, we may not want to say that to each other because we don't want to hurt each other's feelings, but we need to be honest about how things sound, period. We're trying to do outreach that's effective. The difference between positive discipline and beyond spanking, it's the same thing. But who's gonna respond to positive discipline? Who's gonna respond to beyond spanking? Nothing is wrong with positive discipline. It's just the language and the tone, right? So these are the things that we have to be paying attention to when we're crafting our messages. So figure out a word that you're comfortable saying, like, or face something where you're like, maybe you might want to say this, maybe you might want to say that. So we're going to give you some time in the breakout to really wrestle, grapple, whatever word you want to use for coming up with this. So see you in about 10, no, let's say 12 minutes. Bye-bye. It's okay. Any highlights, anything you want to kind of say about your group, what may have come up, any sharing anyone would like to do based on these several questions that you've answered so far, or not even answered, but just kind of like thought about, discussed? Does that mean you want to talk?
Yes.
Okay.
So we discussed outreaching. I mean, now that everyone is pretty much doing Zoom, when you're reaching out to families that are not really computer savvy, and how do you connect with that, with individuals? I mean, so we discussed You know, some organizations don't have the budget to offer training. And then it was mentioned that there are some organizations that do offer training, but you know, maybe someone want to speak on that as far as how do you deal with those type of challenges?
That's a real one.
In our group, which is only two of us, so we had a real long conversation. I work with Andrea. So a lot of it was, how can we get the kids, because it's 0 to 5, how can we get the little kids to be able to get on the computer and to be able to learn, because the schools, you know, is shut down, and the little kids is not able to get on a computer and have access to a computer.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else want to share something that impacted your conversation? Sounds like some of the challenges or opportunities that we have to really figure out. Okay. Did anyone share their message? Your what is in it for the people that you're trying to reach? Can you all put in the chat maybe a sentence about what that is? What is the WIIFM for the people that you're trying to reach, the families, communities, caregivers? If you can do that in the chat, that would be really good for us to see each other's from group to group.
Also, Maria's unmuted herself. I think she has something to add.
Sure, Maria, go ahead.
Yeah, in my program, we are rephrasing the titles of the workshop, because workshop sounds like a work, and parents don't want to work anymore because they are very tired, especially going into the computer. So we are calling time coffee time. So come and have a coffee time. It's a safe space for us to learn together, to share our experience. We have a presenter that it will be presenting the topics that they are interested in having and receiving, but the main things that we are putting it out is that it's a safe space for us to learn together, and we can express and get networks between us online now.
Right, everything. Thank you for that, Maria, and also thank you for those of you who have placed your what's in it for your community in the chat, because being able to articulate that in a compelling way is really, really important. So we're gonna continue. I'm not really sharing my screen anymore. We're gonna, because it's getting close to time, I want to put you in one more breakout. And I think I want to skip 3 and go to 4, because 4, and that's for Leah and Beth, 4 is really about who's been missing in your outreach efforts, who's been showing up, but who's been missing. And how do we need to adjust our strategy? So all of this hopefully is in service to something that we're planning that's at least a month away. So we are not doing all this to plan for something that's next week, because that is like just too much pressure. What are we planning for that's at least 30 days or 4 weeks in the future, where we can be creating and doing these steps to have a more robust outreach strategy, and then have as many people as can with all the challenges and opportunities that we have to show up to our whatever it is. I'm not gonna even say, I'm gonna say play shop. What's our play shop? Like, we gotta change our language, right? People don't wanna go to another work thing. So we're gonna keep you in the same groups, and I think 10 minutes might be a lot for this time, but we're still gonna do 10 minutes, and then you guys are gonna come back. And this is just the beginning of creating your plan. This is to get like the creative juices flowing, to hear from the other people who are in the breakout room with you. And hopefully you will take time. And if you have people in your agency who are here with you, that you will work together and that you will go back to your agency and organization and partner with someone there. Doing this alone is just very lonely. I hope you have a partner. I hope you can find a partner and some support around doing this, because this is a lot for one person to figure out. Like, what does every person need? What do I need to say? You're talking to yourself. Yourself, doesn't know all the answers. And so you need someone to bounce these things off of. So we're going to open up the rooms. We're going to stay in the same rooms. So you guys have become familiar with each other. So do these next group of questions, and then we're going to come back and close. It's almost time for us to get off in 20 minutes. So I'll stop talking. See you later. Thank you for coming back. How was your last breakout? Anything you would like to share from this last breakout or in general for this whole session?
Yeah, I just really quick, I think it helps to be able to say it to other people, what your message is, what you're hoping to accomplish, what's in it for them. But I also love the video earlier on the why. I think it's so important to know why we're doing this work, why it matters, and that really drives it. So thank you. And it's good to see you again, by the way.
So thank you for that. And that kind of like just pushes us to the next point, which is if you're interested in kind of being in communication or community with each other around this topic, if you can put your name and your email address in the chat box. So this is pretty much giving First Five and myself consent to like give each other your information, like a class roster. So we can be in touch and continue maybe to have these conversations. How did it feel to be supported and being able to share this information? Is this something that you would like to continue to do?
Looks like people are putting their email addresses in the chat. So those of you that do that, we will create a list and send it out so everybody can be in communication around this topic.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you also just want to say, when you get your evaluation, if there's another topic you'd like that's on this, or maybe you'd like, let's do in a couple of months of follow-up where we could all get back together and see where you are. Please add that to your evaluation and we'll take a look at that and see if that's something we could do with Dara.
Mm-hmm. Yes, make it official so they can look on the evaluation and say that the group asked for this, So that's important that that ask be actually formal and made. Thank you for doing that. So if you could stay in the chat just for a few more seconds. What is one small but significant change you will make to improve your outreach efforts? So not your whole plan. The whole plan is important, but I would like to know your small but significant change you can make, like right now or this week, around improving your outreach efforts. If you could put that in the chat, that would be very helpful. Someone has to leave. Thank you, Sonia. So not a whole paragraph about what you're going to do, but maybe a phrase. Make more phone calls. A small but significant change. Ooh, somebody said making my message short and sweet. Keeping in contact. Meeting with outreach manager to talk about individual plans. Being intentional with who you share the flyer. Sharing the template with other staff to brainstorm. These are all doable steps that will help improve your efforts. Before we get off, we just want to ask you one more thing, and it's about the learning nuggets. How many of you received the learning nuggets? Just raise your hand if you're on camera so we can at least see. Okay. How many of you out of who received them actually did it or watched it? Okay. So Was it helpful to have you thinking about kind of what we're going to do today? Someone said yes. Anyone else? Leah Beth, unmute and kind of ask a few more questions. We have like
Yeah, great. This is a new thing we're trying, these learning nuggets, because most people have a cell phone. Not everybody has, or in the smartphone, not everybody has a computer. So we're wondering about this way for other kinds of training or other kinds of ways of getting information out. So, well, thank you so much, everyone, for being here. And thank you, Dara, for being here. Please don't forget to complete the evaluation. We'll be sending that out probably later today, possibly tomorrow. We want to massage a couple of the questions a little bit. Again, let us know. We want to do trainings that are helpful to you in the work you're doing. We're all, I don't know, Zoomified, just had so much Zoom. I'm getting dizzy. And so I just didn't really take care of yourself. Try to lower your expectations around things. Many of you were on the training the other day we had with Brianna Moore, and she talked about how lowering expectations is really a good idea. There's this big adjustment disorder we're all basically working from. And so really try to lower your expectations for yourself and others.
And I think, Beth, lowering might be the wrong word.
Oh, well, help me with the right word, Dara, please.
And because when we say lower expectations, just means like lower quality and all this, it might be adjusting.
Oh, thank you.
Appropriate, right? Because you know what I'm saying? So it's like,
oh, I do. That's so much better.
Yeah. So let's make our expectations about what's happening right now more appropriate and more reasonable.
I love that. Thank you.
That just feels a little more like, okay, right?
Right.
We're professionals and all of that. And we don't want to we don't want our quality to go down.
No, right? No.
So, and then the other thing is you guys will be receiving additional nuggets.
Yeah.
So the reason why we're doing this after the training is to keep kind of the learning in your mind, and then how you're going to implement what you plan out. So it'll be like reminders, like, did you do this? How about this? What happened with that? And so it'll like spark you to go maybe back to your plan and continue to be thinking about creative ways that you can be doing your outreach. And thank you so much for being here. And I look forward to seeing y'all on additional calls.
Thank you, everyone. I see people are off to another meeting, and thank you. Thank you, Otis. Good to see you.